Welcome back to Nick Lenz, Comic Corner Classic, Less Known Classics. This is episode number 2309 and Doubleshot number 2203. I got some Doctor Strange stuff and a trade for the Fantastic Four because, well, both for Stanley characters. Like in the case of some other ones I've done, basically I review part of another trade and a full another trade. That's over one character. First up, we're starting off from Masterworks Doctor Strange Volume 9, but I'm not discussing the first 4 issues, actually first 5. Skip over them because I've reviewed them already. I'm just going to review from issues 52 to 57 and the Marv Fanfare issue. By the way, the issues cover the period of April 1982 to February 1983. And you're thinking, what? Yeah, for some reason, I'm not sure why, after being probably on monthly for a while, for some reason they decided to switch to bi-monthly. I don't know why, it's weird. Oh, in case you're curious to who does the issues. Well, Roger Stern does pretty much up from issues 47. Basically, the main writer for the main issues is Roger Stern. Jane DeMatteis says co-writes issue 54. Marshall Rogers is the main artist until issue 53. So he does roughly one issue I'm going to review. Paul Smith does 54, 56. 54 is done also by Brad Anderson. 55, Mark Golan. Kevin Nolan does 57. Marv Hammer is done by Charles Voss. So we're starting out with issue 52. Why 52? Because the last Doctor Strange Epic Collection covered went to issue 51. That's mainly the reason why. So, yeah. And this is Marshall Rogers' artwork. It seems like that this guy looks like Doctor Strange, but really not him. Time, Love, and Hate. Yeah, so most of the places like Doctor Strange deal with the Dormammu and Nazis in this issue. Yeah, that's most what it is. I mean, is most like anything else this one? Not really. Excuse me. Oh yeah, they basically take on this is 52. They take on Nightmare and Dreamstalker in 53. He teams with the Fantastic Four to mostly deal with some stuff that related to when they first fought Raymond Tut. Yeah, it's quite strange that they take some on this issue. And then 55 take on. It's mostly like a flashback issue. It's most of what it is. It's basically a flashback. And then, of course, 55 takes on Dice Spear. Yeah, he's a long-time Marvel character. You might be thinking, is he a Doctor Strange? Well, you might ask. Well, kind of. He started out as enemy of Spider-Man Man-Thing when he teamed up in Marvel Team with 68. Created by Chris Claremont and John Byrne. Yeah. And in case you're curious, though, for this volume of Doctor Strange, he's only here for 2 issues. Actually, no, he's here for 3 issues. After this, next time he does fight Doctor Strange, we'll issue 31 of Doctor Strange Source Supreme book. Yeah, that's next time he takes him on here. Mm-hmm. Of course, you have Sarah Wolf in these issues. Yes, Sarah Wolf. And she's been a recurring character for quite a while. And she's here for up until issue... pretty much until the end of the volume. She's even part of the Strange Tales stuff, and she basically stayed even for the Doctor Strange Source Supreme title. Into a certain point. But yeah, she's basically a recurring character that appears in the book. Doesn't very much, though. Yep. And then we have, well... I think that's mostly it here. In 57, he takes on, well, Baron Mortal's minions, who make their return in this issue as the last appearing back in Strange Tales 143, back in 1966. And this came out in 1982. This is the first appearance of this group in 16 years. And as the next appearance of this group, well, that wouldn't be until, get this, and this might shock you, does not return until, I think it's like 37 years later in the pages of Jane Foster Valkyrie. Yep. And then basically they take on someone named Murder Sordos. Morgan the Winning Way. And this person sadly just got killed off just fairly recently in a one-shot. Yes, a one-shot. Called Before It Falls Sons of X. Yeah, they just killed this character off. Not sure why. Yeah, she appears in 57-58 and then she's done for this title. She's mostly a recurring character for the X-Men. Yeah, it's almost like, why would you feature a character from the X-Books here? Yep. They're good issues. I'm going to get the issues a 9.5 out of 10. Alright. Shoot. Alright, next up we have is basically our main book, which is Masterworks Doctor Strange, Volume 10, which collect issues 58 to 73. And this was, and I have checked this is the last known Masterworks. It's not like, oh, I forgot a couple of years. No, this is the most recent one they released. That's it. Now, for your writers for these issues, mostly putting Roger Stern as main writer. Writes pretty much all the issues except for 6364. 63 is done by Carl Potts. 64 is done by Ann Nocenti. Your two main artist issues are Dan Green, Paul Smith. Dan Green does issues 58 to 61. Paul Smith does 65, 68, 66, 68, 69, 71 to 73. Stephen LaSula does 62, 67. 63 is Carl Potts, who does, well, double duty. Brett Bivens does issue 70, and Tony Summons does issue number 64. This book covers the period of April 1983 and concludes in June of 1985. Yes, this book is still publishing twice every 2 months. So it publishes like 6 issues per year. Yeah, I think the reason why at this period of time, this book, I think because Marvel's falling behind on basically production. That's probably the reason why for it. I'm not sure. Now, in the case of by the 80s, there should be no reason why these books would come out once every 2 months. I heard Daredevil was like this too, but I think Jim Shooter must have fixed it, but it might not affect all the books still. But yeah, this is going to be the last one. Next time I'll discuss Volume 2, I'll be discussing the individual issues. Yes, and then I'll talk about the Strange Tale stuff, and then move on to the book that's going to be in the Epic Collections for a while. The third volume, Doctor Strange Sorcerer Supreme. The third series for Doctor Strange. Yep. Yeah, in the case of issue 58, he works with Hannibal King to take on these some people. Age Gahanus, basically a bunch of demons. Earthak Guardian, take on, okay, that's other characters. Yeah, it's basically just probably a build-up or something. It just tying up loose stuff related to, like, apparently some of the covers all vampires appear here. Yep, that's because Dracula is Doctor Strange taking on Dracula issue 59. Yes, and taking on a group known as the Children of the Night, which they get killed off. They make their debut in this issue. Actually, 38. They mostly die, but they kill off in a later book. Yeah, and they have Doctor Strange take on Dracula. Because why not? Yeah, why not? And then issue 60, which most of this, I think, is stuff from the Darkhold stuff. So most of it is Doctor Strange, Scarlet Witch, Captain Marvel, Hannibal King take on Dracula for a few issues. It's known as the Matusa Formula arc, which wraps up issue 62. But love the cover artwork. It's done by Steve LaHula. It's gorgeous. And then with issue 62, we have the apparent death of Doctor Strange, who stays dead for... Let's see. It's 89. So, Vampires have gone Marvel Comics at this point for 6 years. Yep, so basically, Roger Stern wrote out Vampires of Marvel Comics for 6 years. Heck, the probably last appearance of Blade. Yep. And then 63, Carl Potts, this gorgeous cover. Let me show it off here because it's so gorgeous. I love the cover. I think the whole idea of him getting rid of vampires is an interesting idea. Probably because Marvel didn't have any really plans for the vampires, so why not end it for now and just basically put them on hold? Here's a gorgeous cover here by Steve Lahart. It's really good. Oh. Yeah, vampires are gone. Harold H. Harold himself, I think after this issue, does not return again until he popped up in My Faction's Hawkeye. Here's the Carl Potts cover for issue 63, and it's a very beautiful cover. Yep. Now, what does he do in this issue in particular? Just basically just a standalone issue I have to deal with vampires. It's like basically from any issue, just basically just taking some minor characters. Take a demon issue number, issue 65. Yeah, and then basically he has to deal with a guy named Carwin Havelock, who actually shows up for this one issue, and then he's never seen again. Yeah, he's just a one-shot character, just somebody who Doctor Strange has to deal with for this one issue, a fake sorcerer. And then we have for 66, we have first appearance of the Priest of Bajarnan. Priest in Kamarja. Yeah, it's something related to the country from where Doctor Strange is from. Yeah, it's like basically Roger Stern just follows some early stuff with Doctor Strange, where issue 66, and then 67 Blade comes back. Yeah, Blade is here. Yeah, supposedly this was a plan to revive vampires, but it didn't work. Frank Drake's here. Then we have Victoria Bentley pop up in this issue. Yes. Victoria Bentley, another character who is a creation of, well, Steve Ditko, who's basically a character associated with Doctor Strange. This was her first appearance in the title since issue 37. Yeah, and after this, she doesn't pop again for Doctor Strange until she pops up in Strange Tales Volume 2. Then pops in Black Knight. Avengers Spell issue, and End of Avengers, issue 366 for Avengers, where she dies, and issue Namor. It's like she didn't do very much afterwards. It's like she was there as a recurring character for a while, and then she just stopped appearing. Yeah, also gets appeared by Black Knight. Yes, Black Knight. Also take on Clea's mom in issue 68. Yeah, just a minor character. Yeah. And then issue, and of course, continue taking on Umar. And then we switch it up with Clea as absent for an issue. Take out Tomer and Kynan. Which I think this was both their last appearance. Well, yeah, both of them was basically for these two. It was their last appearances ever in comics. And then 71, more Umar and take on Captain Arini. Who is Clea's father. Yep. Clea's father. Yep. I was like, yeah, basically Doctor Strange is fighting his own future father-in-law. Yep. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. Great stuff here. I still love Doctor Strange. Still getting really close to wrapping up this volume. Yep, with this book in particular, I'm almost done with Volume 2, and it's beyond 2 Strange Tales, then on Doctor Strange Sorcerer Supreme. I read this issue a long time ago, but damn, this stuff is so freaking good. I give this book a 10 out of 10. It's excellent. So, no, it's not that one. Not that one. Yes, here we go. So, Nebula and the Fantastic Four, but like in the case, the other one, just a few issues from one book, and then the main book after that one. Same thing with this one. This one is a bit unique. Basically, it's not like 7 or 6 issues. This book, I'm only reviewing 3 issues plus a giant size issue from Masterworks Fantastic Four Volume 14. Covering from this one, issues. Let me show the cover here. Covering issues 147, 149, and giant size Fantastic Four number 2. Oh, by the way, those 3 issues cover the period of June to August of 1974, and and they also had issues. Basically, this book had issues 142 to 150 and Avengers 27 and giant size Super Size number 1. Basically, the 42, 46, and giant Super Size number 1 covered those already, and same Avengers 127, 56, 150 covered those issues already. Your writer for these issues are Jerry Conway. Yep, just one writer, Jerry Conway, with Rich Buckler on the artwork for the main issues. Giant Festival number 2 is basically John Buscema. So yeah, like I mentioned, we're covering 3 issues of this book. Now, these 3 issues in particular are quite strange, because 147 and 149 is basically a 2-parter, and 148 feels like a filler. Yes, for some strange reason. And I have no idea why the heck this is. For this book, like, okay, we live over the cliffhanger at the end of this issue, and the story is not continuing until 2 issues later. I'm like, what? Yeah, because basically, Sue gets taken out to Atlantis, where she's in love with Namor, she's gonna marry him. Yeah, and you think, oh, next issue resolve it? Nope, they take on the Fire 4. You're like, what? Yeah, seriously. It is quite strange. Yeah, and then basically, after dealing with the Fire 4, probably the line of this book is the Wizard, Sandman, traps during Thundera, because, of course, they are. Yeah. And then, of course, 149, they have the, well, you have basically, you have Regan to fight with Namor over her. And he wins. And, of course, they go back to normal. Kind of. Yeah, the 3 issues are pretty good, but it just seems a bit strange how they do this. Yeah, it's like, okay, let's basically have the Fantastic Four take on one of their arch enemies after Sue decided to admit that she's going to marry the Submariner. I'm like, why? Makes no sense. Okay, so next up we have is, our main book, which we're going to talk about. The only reason I cover those issues so I can cover basically that area, and then cover this book here. Now, 12750, I already discussed this already in a Avengers Epic Collection. I think it was Avengers Epic Collection, I believe it was Volume 8, if I remember. Yes. So this book, Marvel Masterworks Fantastic Four Volume 15, covers from Fantastic Four 151 to 163, and giant size Fantastic Four 3 to 4. Now, you have, for the first 2 issues, and giant size number 3 of Jerry Conway. and then he leaves. And then of course he's replaced briefly by Lean Ween. Actually, first he's replaced by Tony Isabella for one issue, for 153, and then Lean Ween for issues 150, 157, and Giant Size for number 4, and then for the rest of the book, it's basically Roy Thomas. Chris Claremont co-does basically Giant Size number 4. Now, your artwork for pretty much almost this entire book, except for 2 issues, is Rich Buckler. Excuse me, the issues he's not doing here is 154, 160. 154 is done by Bob Brown and John Bushman, issue 60. Rich Buckler does do the first Giants book, 3 and 4 is done by John Bushman. Sadly put, in the case of Giant Size Fantastic 4, 3, and 4, these are the last ones because the 2 that come after those are reprints. So with this book, I'm done with the Giant Size Fantastic 4. So, in the cases, one book in particular, we cover the period of October 1974, and we conclude with August of 1975. And the first step we have is basically Giant Size Fantastic Four, number 3. Yeah, this is a very cool one. It's interesting. Oh, by the way, for some reason they have Marv Wolfman as the co-writer of this issue. Yep. It's mostly about the Fantastic Four dealing with, well, they were strange stuff. They were the Four Horsemen. It's a really interesting issue. I got at least gonna hand it to Jared Common for something new and different, taking the Four Horsemen Apocalypse for a whole book. Yeah, and then we move on to issue 151. We have Thundera guest starring, taking out someone called Machismo. Yeah. And if you're curious about this guy, oh, he's still around. He's here for 3 straight issues. And then he just showed up again to those issues of Sensational She-Hulk. A couple issues of Fantastic Foes. And he popped up recently for Captain Marvel by Kelly Thompson. Yes, and after this 3-parter wraps up, Medusa's off the team for 1 issue. Yes, Medusa's off the team. I'm not sure why. And then they fight basically a mystery villain, turns some Nick Fury in disguise. Yes, and then we went to Giant Size Fantastic 4. Of course, we already did this one already. Move on to issue number 155. We have an appearance here by the Silver Surfer, who last appeared in Avengers number 11. This is basically what he did just after the Avengers Infinity War. And he's here for 2 issues because basically this involves another attempt of Doctor Doom trying to steal Silver Surfer's powers. And also, this is also very interesting. Apparently, Shia LaBeouf, basically Silver Surfer's lover, proclaimed herself to be the wife of Doctor Doom. Yeah. And then we have a new Doomsman, the second one, who's only here for 1 issue. Yep, I think that it gets wrapped up with this issue, because issue number 4 is quite historic. Giant Size Fantastic number 4 is an historic one. Why is this an historic one, you might ask? Well, because it's the first appearance of a very important character. This character, let me show you here, is Jamie Mandrix, the Multiple Man. Yep, and also features a guest appearance by Charles Xavier, who's here to recruit Jay Mandrix to not join the X-Men. No. Basically, he's here to deal with something else. Yeah, and Jay Mandrix, like, it is strange, though. He made his first appearance at Fantastic Four book, and he has a Chris Claremont creation. You would think, as much as Peter David loves this character, you would think, oh, did he create him? No, it was Chris Claremont and Roy Thomas. After this book, he became a recurring character in X-Men, but not part of the X-Men. Nope, he was just basically just a a guest of Xavier's. Nothing much was done with this guy for quite a while. He mostly was just a guest until he popped up until Peter David put him in X Factor, because he was just a character to create just because I felt like it. And then for issue 158, take on a character named Zemu, who last appeared in Strange Tales 103, take on the Human Torch, which is interesting. And he's here for 2 straight appearances. One appearance that we did. Of course, they had team up with the Inhumans, which is where Medusa leaves the team and Sue Storm rejoins the team. Yep, has been gone for a while because of her separation with Reed Richards. Yeah, and teams with humans for this issue here. Great stuff. Then we have the LT plot, which just lasts for the last 4 issues of this book. Yeah, the IT plot is mostly put basically like deal with like an alternate universe where like Reed Richards is the thing, and just dealing with the basically this interrelated technologies organization. Yeah, and they're only here just for 5 issues. They're here for this 4-part pop-up issue of She-Hulk. Yeah, it's like this company that supposedly Reed Richards has something to do with, but yeah. Kind of a weird way to end this book. Yes, it is. It goes to Earth A. Well, it's referred to as Earth 721, which basically 1 to 18 is the first appearance of this Earth. Yeah, and I believe that this also was guest appearance by Archon. Yeah, this also follows basically Archon making appearance, who actually had just previously appeared in pages of Avengers. Yeah, he after appearing in 3 issues of Avengers, he popped up for these 3 issues in particular, and then he popped up for a couple annuals for X-Men. And he's popped up sporadically over the years, most recently in Champion 27. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's a really fun set of issues. Like meeting a version of General Thunderbolt Ross. Oh yeah, by the way, Nelson Rockefeller was president of the United States. Despite back in real life, he was actually the vice president. Yeah, yeah. Basically, this is a good way to end it for Roy Thomas for this issues. If you're curious to how long did Roy Thomas stay in this book for, well, if you're really curious, how long did he stay in the book for? He stayed in the book into issue. Well, he was here at the 179. This was actually his return to the book after issue 136. This basically was an actual run for him. After he appeared like 1 issue here and there, like 119, he popped up for 126, 133, and then 136 popped. And he did a 2-year run. Did 2 more issues after this. Then he did a couple annuals, and that was it for Roy Thomas. Yeah, this actually was one book he was not immediately handed by Stan Lee. No, not really for some reason. I mean, he got Amazing Spider-Man with Stan Lee at the book. It's same with Avengers, X-Men, some of the books, not every single one per se. Excuse me. It is something that he did not do more to the book. Yeah, because there's no denying the fact that Roy Thomas was a really good writer. He doesn't write anymore per se. No, I think he's mostly been just retired. Yeah, I think he's mostly been retired. Actually, he did do a book for Marvel just fairly recently. It was a Saboteur Conan book. Yeah, he did a couple issues of Saboteur Conan. That was the most recent thing he did. So, you could say he's semi-retired. Yeah. I could buy that. Yeah, I'm going to give this book in particular a 10 out of 10 because it's really good. Okay, so that's a particular view. Let's see. I think I'll have time to work on Doctor Who, but I think I'll work on the one for my TV tomorrow. So I'm going to include it here and just, well, go ahead and do my next comic. I was going to do stop, but I figured, though, because the fact that I think it's like an hour and a half. If I do it now, then it won't be till 10 o'clock by the time I finish. So I'm just gonna do my next comic corner right now. Okay, next video. Bye.